Have you ever witnessed nature's gentle giants abandon their peaceful ways for something far more powerful? Where ancient forest wisdom transforms into explosive action. Deep in Cameroon's rainforests, something extraordinary unfolded that left wildlife experts questioning everything they knew about gorilla behavior. Today's story begins with a helpless baby facing certain death, and an unprecedented display of courage that proved even the most peaceful hearts can become fierce when protecting the innocent. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. Deep within Cameroon's Faunal Reserve, where ancient rainforest canopies stretch endlessly toward clouded skies, lies one of Central Africa's last pristine wilderness sanctuaries. This UNESCO World Heritage Site encompasses over 5,000 square kilometers of untouched tropical forest, where towering mahogany and sapele trees create living cathedrals beneath canopies so dense that sunlight penetrates in scattered golden beams. The forest floor pulses with life, carpeted in emerald moss and fallen leaves that release the rich, earthy scent of centuries of decomposition feeding this incredible ecosystem. Crystal-clear streams wind through valleys shrouded in perpetual mist, their gentle murmuring mixing with the haunting calls of gray parrots and the distant trumpeting of forest elephants navigating ancient migration routes. Massive buttress roots create natural fortresses where countless species find shelter, while delicate epiphytes bloom in impossible colors along branches that have supported life for millennia. But DJ harbors secrets that challenge our understanding of the natural world's complex relationships. This is a place where the impossible becomes reality, where different species forge bonds that transcend evolutionary boundaries in moments of extraordinary crisis. In these mystical depths, where gorilla families have roamed for generations alongside forest elephants and countless other creatures, the most unlikely alliances can emerge when innocent lives hang in the balance. What unfolded here on one humid afternoon would forever change how wildlife researchers view the protective instincts and moral complexity of mountain gorillas. It was an act so unprecedented, so fundamentally contrary to their peaceful nature, that it would force scientists to reconsider everything they thought they knew about interspecies empathy and collective courage. This extraordinary event would prove that in nature's most desperate moments, when the vulnerable face overwhelming predators and conventional escape seems impossible, heroes can emerge from the most unexpected sources, demonstrating that even the gentlest hearts can become fierce when witnessing becomes unbearable. This is where our story begins, in a place where ancient wisdom meets modern crisis and where a shocking display of courage would leave everyone speechless. In the heart of Ja's pristine rainforest lived Kibwe's gorilla family, a remarkable group of 12 western lowland gorillas led by Kibwe, a magnificent silverback whose gentle leadership had earned him legendary status among local researchers. Standing nearly 6 feet tall and weighing over 400 pounds, Kibwe's imposing silver-streaked back and powerful chest commanded respect throughout the forest, yet his dark, intelligent eyes reflected the peaceful wisdom that had kept his family safe for over 15 years. The family included Amara, Kibwe's primary mate, whose nurturing care for their 3 juveniles had made her one of the most devoted mothers ever observed in the reserve. Young Django, Bomani, and little Kazi, playful juveniles between 4 and 7 years old, spent their days learning foraging techniques under the patient guidance of their elders, their carefree tumbling and gentle play creating an atmosphere of joy within their forest sanctuary. What made Kibwe's family extraordinary wasn't just their size or their prime territory rich in wild ginger and protein-rich pith, it was their unusual relationship with the forest's other inhabitants. Unlike most gorilla families that maintained strict boundaries with neighboring wildlife, Kibwe's group had developed remarkable tolerance for forest elephants, often sharing feeding areas and water sources during the dry season. This peaceful coexistence had been observed for nearly a decade, with both species demonstrating mutual respect and careful spatial awareness that prevented conflicts. The gorillas had been witnessed stepping aside to allow elephant families access to mineral-rich clay deposits, while the elephants reciprocated by avoiding areas where the gorillas were actively foraging. The family's daily routine involved methodical movement through their territory, following ancient pathways that connected prime feeding sites with secure resting areas in the forest's dense understory. Their synchronized travel patterns and complex social communications had fascinated primatologists studying the sophisticated nature of gorilla society. This remarkable openness to interspecies cooperation and their deep understanding of forest dynamics would prove crucial to the extraordinary events about to unfold. Events that would test whether their peaceful nature could transform into something far more powerful when faced with injustice against the innocent. The afternoon sun filtered gently through Gija's dense canopy that peaceful Tuesday, creating a cathedral of dappled light and shadow across the forest floor, where Kibwe's family had settled for their midday rest period. The air hung thick with tropical humidity and the rich fragrance of blooming wild ginger, while the gentle sound of a nearby stream provided nature's own lullaby for the drowsy gorilla family. Kibwe had positioned himself beneath a massive ironwood tree, where the ancient giant's sprawling buttress roots created natural armchairs perfectly sized for a silverback's contemplative afternoon meditation. His powerful chest rose and fell in the slow rhythm of complete contentment, while his intelligent dark eyes occasionally swept the surrounding forest with the casual vigilance of a leader completely at peace in familiar territory. The family had arranged themselves in their preferred resting formation, Amara grooming young Kazi with methodical precision while Django and Bomani engaged in lazy play wrestling nearby, their gentle grunts of amusement creating a soundtrack of pure familial joy. The older juveniles practiced foraging techniques on fallen fruit, their movements unhurried in the tropical heat as they learned the patient skills that would sustain them throughout their lives. The forest soundscape was quintessentially Central African, the melodic calls of hornbills echoing through the misty canopy, the distant splash of forest elephants at hidden mineral licks, and the gentle rustle of leaves as countless creatures went about their afternoon routines. Somewhere high above, a troop of putty-nosed monkeys chattered softly, their voices barely audible over the peaceful symphony of rainforest life. This was life as it should be in the heart of Africa's last great wilderness, a perfect moment that embodied everything beautiful about existence in this ancient ecosystem. The gorilla family existed in complete harmony with their environment, their gentle nature reflected in every interaction and movement. None of them could know that this tranquil scene was about to be shattered by desperate cries that would test the very essence of their peaceful philosophy and challenge them to discover courage they never knew they possessed. The peaceful afternoon was suddenly shattered by a sound that sent shock waves through every member of Kibwe's family. High-pitched, desperate trumpeting that cut through the humid air with the unmistakable tone of mortal terror. The cries were unlike any elephant vocalizations they had heard before, carrying a note of helpless panic that instantly triggered protective instincts deep within their gentle hearts. Kibwe's massive head snapped up first, his keen ears pinpointing the source of the distress calls coming from the dense undergrowth near the ancient strangler fig grove, approximately 200 meters from their resting area. The trumpeting continued in frantic bursts, growing more desperate and weaker with each passing moment, speaking of a creature facing overwhelming danger with no possibility of escape. Within seconds, the entire gorilla family was alert and moving. Amara gathered her juveniles protectively while Kibwe rose to his full imposing height, his intelligent eyes scanning the forest canopy for any visual confirmation of the crisis unfolding nearby. The other adults formed an instinctive protective formation around the younger family members, their usually peaceful demeanor replaced by the focused tension of creatures responding to emergency. What struck them most profoundly was the age and vulnerability conveyed in these desperate calls. This wasn't the deep, commanding trumpet of an adult forest elephant establishing territory or warning off threats. These were the high, thin cries of something very young, very small, and utterly helpless against whatever danger had trapped it in the forest's depths. Through the dense foliage, they could hear the sound of something large moving through the undergrowth, not the familiar, deliberate footsteps of elephants navigating their ancient pathways, but something else entirely. Something that moved with a different rhythm, a more sinister purpose that made the trumpeting grow even more frantic and afraid. The forest around the distress calls had fallen into an ominous silence, as if every other creature had fled the area or was holding its breath in anticipation of tragedy. Even the ever-present bird calls had ceased, creating an atmosphere of mounting dread that made the baby elephant's desperate cries even more heartbreaking. As the trumpeting continued to pierce their peaceful sanctuary, Kibwe's family found themselves facing a decision that would challenge everything about their gentle nature. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. As Kibwe led his family through the dense undergrowth toward the source of the desperate trumpeting, the scene that greeted them was every forest dweller's worst nightmare. There, trapped in a natural depression between massive tree roots, was a baby forest elephant, no more than 6 months old, with soft gray skin and innocent dark eyes wide with terror as it struggled against an enemy far beyond its comprehension. Coiled around the infant elephant's hindquarters and steadily working its way up the small body was an enormous African rock python, easily 20 feet in length and thick as a tree trunk. The serpent's diamond-patterned scales gleamed with an oily sheen in the filtered sunlight, its muscular coils contracting with methodical precision around the helpless calf. Each squeeze forced another weak trumpet from the baby elephant, whose tiny trunk waved frantically in the air as it called desperately for its missing family. The python's massive triangular head swayed hypnotically just inches from the calf's face, its cold black eyes showing no emotion as its forked tongue flicked out repeatedly to taste the fear saturating the humid air. The ancient predator had clearly been lying in ambush among the strangler fig's massive root system when the young elephant, separated from its herd during afternoon foraging, had wandered too close to the concealed death trap. What made the scene even more heartbreaking was the baby elephant's obvious exhaustion and confusion. At only 6 months old, it had never encountered such mortal danger before, its young mind unable to comprehend why the strange coiled creature was causing such unbearable pressure and pain. Its initial struggles had weakened considerably over what must have been several terrifying minutes of compression. The python's strategy was as ancient as it was merciless. Maintain steady pressure until the prey could no longer draw breath, then begin the slow process of consumption. The massive coils tightened incrementally with each of the calf's heartbeats, the serpent's prehistoric patience allowing it to wait for the inevitable moment when all resistance would cease. Scattered around the depression were broken branches and disturbed earth, evidence of the desperate struggle that had already been raging while Kibwe's family rested peacefully just meters away. The sight before them triggered something unprecedented within Kibwe's family, an emotional response that challenged every aspect of their peaceful nature. The baby elephant's weak trumpeting seemed to bypass every rational instinct they possessed, reaching directly into protective centers that had nothing to do with their own species' survival. Amara's maternal instincts exploded into overdrive as she watched the helpless calf's suffering, her powerful hands clenching and unclenching with desperate energy. Kibwe found himself facing an impossible tactical situation that defied his years of forest wisdom. The massive python represented a formidable opponent, even for a 400-pound silverback. Its crushing coils could easily break bones, and its lightning-fast defensive strikes could deliver devastating injuries to any attacker. More critically, any aggressive approach might cause the serpent to tighten its grip fatally, ending the baby elephant's life in seconds rather than minutes. The gorilla family formed an instinctive semicircle around the tragic scene, their usual coordinated foraging formation transformed into something resembling a council of concerned observers rather than peaceful forest dwellers. Young Django and Bomani pressed close to their mother, their innocent eyes wide with confusion and distress at witnessing such raw suffering for the first time in their sheltered lives. What made their emotional response so extraordinary was the complete abandonment of species barriers. This baby elephant should have meant nothing to them beyond mild territorial awareness, yet every member of the family was displaying genuine anguish at its plight. The calf's increasingly faint calls for help were triggering protective responses that transcended millions of years of evolutionary programming. Kibwe's intelligent eyes studied the python's positioning with remarkable analytical precision, searching for any weakness or opportunity that might allow intervention without making the situation worse. His deep rumbling vocalizations grew more agitated as he circled the depression, but his vast experience told him that direct confrontation would likely doom both himself and the trapped infant. The gentle giants found themselves trapped in an emotional paradox that challenged everything about their understanding of their role in the forest ecosystem. Here was innocent suffering that demanded action, yet nature's harsh mathematics seemed to forbid any intervention that wouldn't result in additional tragedy. 1 kilometer through the dense rainforest canopy, Dr. Mbiki Nkomo, a Cameroonian wildlife biologist specializing in forest elephant conservation, was conducting his monthly population survey when the urgent crackling of his radio pierced the humid afternoon stillness. The transmission came from Fatou Diallo, a veteran park guide whose 15 years of tracking experience had made her one of Dija Reserve's most trusted field observers. Dr. Nkomo, this is Fatou at Sector Delta 7. Her voice carried unusual tension that immediately commanded his attention. I need you at grid reference 9 Charlie immediately. I'm hearing elephant distress calls that don't match any normal behavioral patterns. These aren't territorial disputes or separation anxiety. This sounds like a calf in mortal danger. Dr. Nkomo, who had spent 12 years studying the complex social dynamics of Central Africa's forest elephants, felt his pulse quicken. Fatou was one of Cameroon's most experienced wildlife trackers, a woman whose understanding of forest sounds had been honed through decades of guiding researchers and protecting endangered species. If she was reporting anomalous elephant vocalizations, it warranted immediate investigation. Fatou, can you identify the approximate age and location? He asked while rapidly gathering his emergency field equipment. A comprehensive kit containing tranquilizer gear, medical supplies, and specialized communication devices that had served him through countless wildlife emergencies. It's definitely a very young calf, probably under 7 months old. Fatou's voice crackled back with growing concern. The calls are coming from the strangler fig grove near the old mineral lick. But Dr. Nkomo, there's something else. I can hear gorilla vocalizations mixed in. They sound agitated, but not territorial. It's like they're responding to the elephant's distress. Dr. Nkomo's scientific mind raced through possibilities as he started his field motorcycle and began navigating the narrow forest trails toward Fatou's coordinates. Interspecies response to distress calls was documented but extremely rare in wild populations, especially between gorillas and elephants who typically maintained respectful distances. His radio crackled again. Doctor, the elephant calls are getting weaker, but the gorillas sound more agitated. Something extraordinary is happening here that needs immediate attention. When Dr. Nkomo finally reached Fatou's observation point, what he witnessed through his binoculars defied every principle of primate behavior he had studied throughout his career. Kibwe's gorilla family had formed an unprecedented formation around the python and trapped elephant calf, but instead of the territorial aggression he expected, their body language conveyed something closer to collective strategizing and emotional investment in the outcome. Most remarkably, the gorillas seemed to be actively communicating about the situation through a series of soft vocalizations and deliberate gestures that suggested coordinated planning rather than random distress responses. Kibwe positioned himself at the depression's edge, his intelligent eyes studying the python's coil patterns with what appeared to be tactical assessment, while Amara and the other adults maintained strategic positions around the perimeter. Fatou's whispered observations confirmed his amazement. Doctor, they've been like this for several minutes. Watch Kibwe. He keeps looking between the python's head position and the calf's breathing patterns. It's like he's calculating intervention possibilities. Dr. Nkomo immediately contacted the DGA Reserve Emergency Response Team, requesting immediate backup with large snake handling equipment and veterinary support for potential casualties. The baby elephant's breathing was becoming visibly labored, and the python's coils were showing signs of final compression phases that indicated minutes rather than hours remained. His satellite phone crackled with confirmation that a helicopter rescue team was airborne and heading toward their coordinates, equipped with specialized equipment for managing complex wildlife emergencies involving multiple endangered species. But given the calf's deteriorating condition and the python's methodical progress, intervention needed to happen immediately. What happened next would challenge every assumption about gorilla intelligence and moral capacity. As Dr. Nkomo focused his camera equipment to document what might be the final moments of this tragedy, Kibwe made a decision that would revolutionize primatology. The massive silverback began moving deliberately toward the python, not with the caution of a creature avoiding danger, but with the determined stride of a leader who had chosen action over helpless observation. Fatou's amazed whisper came through his radio. Dr. Nkomo, the entire family is moving in formation toward that python. I've never seen coordinated gorilla behavior like this in 15 years of fieldwork. What unfolded next would be remembered as one of the most extraordinary displays of coordinated interspecies heroism ever documented in wildlife research. Kibwe approached the massive python with calculated precision, his 400-pound frame moving with surprising grace as he positioned himself at the serpent's head, while simultaneously signaling his family into a coordinated formation that defied every known principle of gorilla behavior. The python, sensing multiple threats approaching from different angles, raised its massive triangular head in defensive posture, but this movement was exactly what Kibwe had been anticipating. In a moment of tactical brilliance that left Dr. Nkomo speechless, the silverback released a thunderous chest-beating display that forced the serpent to focus on him as the primary threat, creating the critical distraction his family needed. Then came the moment that challenged all natural law. While the python's attention was fixed on Kibwe's intimidating display, Amara and two other adults moved with synchronized precision toward the trapped elephant calf. But instead of attempting direct confrontation with the deadly serpent, they began something unprecedented, a coordinated effort to physically support the baby elephant's breathing by gently lifting its compressed chest area. The python, now facing multiple gorillas approaching from different directions, found itself in an impossible tactical situation. Its coils, designed to maintain crushing pressure on a single victim, couldn't simultaneously defend against 400-pound primates attacking from multiple angles while maintaining its death grip on the elephant calf. Kibwe seized this moment of serpentine confusion to make his decisive move. The massive silverback lunged forward with explosive power, his enormous hands grasping the python's head section with precision born of forest wisdom. Not to kill the ancient predator, but to redirect its attention away from the helpless calf toward an opponent capable of defending itself. The python's survival instincts overrode its feeding behavior as it found itself engaged with multiple powerful adversaries. Its coils began to loosen incrementally as it prepared to defend against these unexpected challengers, finally releasing enough pressure for the baby elephant to draw its first full breath in what must have felt like an eternity. The forest erupted with the sounds of the most unlikely battle ever witnessed in Central Africa's rainforests. As the python retreated into the forest depths, defeated but unharmed, the most extraordinary moment unfolded in the sudden rainforest silence. The baby elephant, now free from its deadly coils, struggled to its feet with trembling legs, while Amara remained nearby, her massive form providing protective presence until the helicopter rescue team arrived. The veterinary specialists found the gorilla family maintaining a gentle vigil around the exhausted calf, displaying unprecedented interspecies care behavior that challenged fundamental assumptions about primate territorial instincts. Within hours, the baby elephant was reunited with its frantic family, who had been searching desperately throughout the forest. Dr. Nkomo's documentation of the coordinated rescue sparked international scientific debate about collective intelligence and moral behavior in wild gorilla populations. His footage became groundbreaking evidence of strategic interspecies cooperation that forced researchers to reconsider the emotional and cognitive capabilities of our closest relatives. The extraordinary event proved that even nature's gentlest creatures possess the capacity for extraordinary courage when witnessing becomes unbearable. Kibwe's family had demonstrated not just empathy, but coordinated tactical thinking that transcended species boundaries to protect innocent life. Today, both the rescued elephant calf and Kibwe's gorilla family continue to thrive in Jazz's pristine rainforest, their story serving as powerful evidence that compassion knows no evolutionary boundaries. In Cameroon's ancient forests, where wisdom runs as deep as the root systems that support countless lives, the impossible became possible when gentle hearts chose action over helplessness, leaving everyone who witnessed their shocking display of courage absolutely speechless. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.